I get a lot of heat from people who say, I can't believe you would say you're sick and tired of politics and you don't want to do politics anymore. Who does? Who does? You're sick if you enjoy this as a sport. The only reason why I talk about politics is because I think our country is in serious danger. You do too, I know. And I think we're about to explode as a movement because there's a lot of great candidates out across the country that need your support. Chris McDaniel is the guy who is taking on Thad Cochran in Mississippi in the Senate race, and he is within reach of the golden ring or the brass ring. Welcome. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks
Good.
for having me.
Why would you, in your wildest dreams, I've never met anybody who went to Washington that was happy or came out a better person. Why would you do this?
Well, I think it's necessary sometimes to sacrifice, even though it's not always fun. I'm always reminded of the founders and what they went through and what they were willing to sacrifice to make this country what it is today. It's not fun. Washington's tough. Running for office is difficult. But sometimes you have to be strong enough and fight with courage. We have to have good people willing to engage the system. If we can't wake the people up in this country's in big trouble. So right now in Mississippi and across the country, we are beginning to see the people awaken again. That's our only hope, and that's why I ran. I'm willing to take a sacrifice. I'm willing to be hurt, if you will, if it moves the needle, if it makes a difference.
Well, it may not. I mean, it may. I mean, I think about this all the time. That, and I think everybody who is honest and is not an egotist will look and say, what else could I have done? I mean, you know, we may not. I know how it ends. I know that freedom lasts. Yeah. I don't know if it is this time or with our children that have to restore. I don't know. I know a huge payday is coming in a bad way.
Sure. Because
we have unpegged from principles. We are not even a nation that understands God, let alone reveres Him.
Absolutely.
In many of our public buildings, if not all of them,
right,
don't even understand God.
That's a big part of the problem. And these political problems we see now start as moral problems, first and foremost. Social conservatism is just as important as fiscal conservatism. There's a synergistic effect, if you will, and that's why the conservatives have to recognize that, not to jettison our principles, but to stand by our principles, even though sometimes it hurts, and sometimes it does hurt. But if we're not a party of principle, if we're not a party of conviction and courage, bold colors, not pastels, then we're not serving our purpose.
How can we be assured that that you say this, and I say this to all of the politicians
Sure.
I've talked to, how can we be assured that you're a guy who gets it and you say the right things now,
Sure.
but you're not going to go in and be, you know, or Mitch McConnell's
Sure.
or John Boehner's best friends, you know.
Absolutely.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. I have a record. I have a 7-year record in the state Senate. I have fought the good fight. I have stood my ground when I've had to, even against Haley Barbour. And I did that my 2nd year in the state Senate when he was pushing so aggressively to use eminent domain in what I consider to be an unconstitutional manner. So I stood my ground against him. I've stood my ground against others. And keep this in mind, I did challenge a 42-year incumbent.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
How old were you? 8 months, 4 months old?
in that range. It's not really clear, but I was just a child. I don't remember another senator other than.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But it shows, at least, I've got the principle to stand for what I believe in. And if you would have asked me this 20 years ago, I would have said it's not possible. But Senator Cochran has not been a conservative vote. He's not been principled. We can't think of a single fight he's led against Barack Obama. And if you can't lead a fight against this president, if you can't stand with principle against this president, that's really unfortunate.
Is it about the president, or is it because, I mean, I see the Karl Roves of the world, Mitch McConnell, they're not as fast, but they're going in exactly the same direction.
System-wide. It's system-wide. Both parties are suffering from it. It's part of that political aristocracy.
Okay, so tell me why, because I've made a commitment this time around that I've never done this before on radio or television, that I'm actually showing the people good candidates. Right. And I'm doing it because I think a lot of people think, oh, there's nobody to vote for, why should I even vote? No, these are the people that we have prayed for 5 years. And you guys are starting to stand up. Why should somebody that doesn't live in Mississippi help you? How does that affect them?
Mississippi Mississippi is a deep red state. It's very conservative. We win the fight there, we can begin to lead the charge from there. A U.S. Senator's vote affects everyone in the country. And there are people in Massachusetts, people in California, people in New York, for example. They can't elect a conservative senator. Not only can you elect one in Mississippi, you can elect a brave one that will lead the charge. Mississippi should be leading the charge. We shouldn't depend on Texas and Utah and Kentucky to lead our charges for us. We are the most conservative state in the Republic. We need the most conservative
You're in Texas
senator.
while you're saying this, brother. So
absolutely. And listen, I'm a big Ted Cruz fan.
Don't mess with Texas.
Ted Cruz fan. Love Texas.
Yeah.
But Mississippi is a strong state. We're self-reliant. We're independent. We believe in what the founders did, and we're willing to fight for it.
What's the difference between a conservative and I'm a libertarian.
Sure.
I'm a conservative libertarian.
Sure.
What's the difference between those two? Is there a difference?
It's very close. Reagan would have talked about his libertarian spine or libertarian spirit. And I believe every conservative has a libertarian spirit. I think the primary distinction is most of the time conservatism will have more traditional roots. It will have a foundation of morality. We're opposed to a more libertine stance with libertarianism. Sure. But I think it's a perfect balance, and I think every conservative has a libertarian
I think libertarians are afraid. Well, quite honestly, everybody's afraid at this point because whoever grabs the reign of power next could make a nightmare for every American that doesn't agree with them. It doesn't matter who they are. That's why I think that, the John McCains of the world, they don't really want to get rid of Obamacare. They want to control it. They don't want to stop the IRS. They want to control it.
Good point. They want to control the apparatus,
right,
as opposed to repeal the apparatus. It's as if they've got the wolf by the ears,
right,
so to speak. Here's the thing. Instead of looking at those labels from the libertarian and conservative standpoint, either you value the Constitution or you don't. Either you value liberty or you don't.
I don't remember which Supreme Court Justice, I think it was Scalia, that said this week that he's not sure that the NSA spying is a violation of the Constitution.
Yeah, right, I know, and I'm a big fan of Scalia.
Me too.
The NSA scares me to death, and we should be skeptical of the NSA. We should be skeptical of any centralized authority, particularly with the federal government. So for him to say that was shocking. Perhaps he'll clarify himself at some point.
If the Supreme Court came back and did say, and let's just say, it was 6-2, 6-3, and they said, no, you know what, NSA, it's cool. Is that a time that Americans need to stand up and say, I don't abide, or is the Supreme Court the last word?
No, the Supreme Court is not the last word. They've been wrong before. And they reverse themselves quite often. Yeah. And they should, because some of the decisions were just terrible. And if they were to say the NSA and their wiretapping and their activities don't violate the Fourth Amendment, I would have serious concern about the trajectory of the court.
Me too. Okay. I want you to go to your website. What's your website?
McDaniel2014.com.
Okay. And if you like what you're hearing, I want you just to find somebody that you believe in, and maybe he's sitting right here with me. But when you find them, I don't care where you are. If you don't have a dime, pray for them. Make phone calls, volunteer your time, whatever. But find some way to remain involved. I really, truly believe this election, if we can send a bunch of guys like this that really will stick to the Constitution, everything we've prayed for really has a chance of getting off the ground. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it very much.
Back in a minute. I just want to ask, what do you think of the Federal Reserve?
Not a fan at all.
That's what I'm saying. If you think that the Federal Reserve is somebody that is going to